With over 20 million books sold around the world, translated in over 30 languages, our next guest is quickly taking over the contemporary romance genre. Her latest novel, King of Envy, follows a billionaire torn between loyalty and desire as he yearns for his best friend's supermodel fiancée. And things get a little spicy. So here to tell us all about it, please welcome Anna Huang.
Hi. Thank you. Hi. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. There's nothing I love to talk about more than a great book.
Thank you.
This new book, King of Envy, is set in a glamorous New York high society.
Yes.
And it's the 5th installment of your Kings of Sin series, which are steamy billionaire romances themed around the 7 deadly sins.
Yes.
And you dedicated it to, quote, to all the readers who like their fictional men a little unhinged, unquote. So tell us about the book and why you dedicated it to this unique group of readers.
I know. So as you mentioned, this book is about a billionaire CEO who's always been in love with his fiance's best friend. But what he doesn't know is that theirs is actually an engagement of convenience, right? And so there's like so much yearning and pining as they start to get more feelings for each other. There's also a bit of a suspense subplot as a dangerous element from his past comes back and throws another wrench in their romance. And it does have darker themes, which is why I kind of dedicated it to, like I said, all of the readers who like their unhinged men, because I think that is a bit of a return to form for me. I broke out with my Twisted series, which was first published in 2021, and those had more of like a morally gray heroes, like I said, more darker themes, more suspense. And for the past 2 years, I would say, I've written slightly softer heroes. And so for this one, it's kind of back to that element. And so this was really dedicated to those core group of readers who've kind of been with me along the way, as well as who love the same unhingedness that I do.
You're giving them what they want, is what you're saying.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, and you've also said that you're a bit uncomfortable writing the super spicy scenes in your novels.
Yes.
And at one point, you even considered publishing them anonymously.
Yeah.
Now, what gives you the courage to write those scenes? We always tease Sunny for writing steamy scenes, and she does it by committee. So, because there's nothing more uncomfortable than writing those sex scenes with all your friends. But how do you do this?
Yeah, well, it's something that I've gotten more comfortable with. I think that very first book where I first wrote my spicy scene, I was just sitting there at home alone and I was like, oh my God, this is so embarrassing. Am I really using this word? But you know, by now, King of Envy is my 14th book. So after 14 books, you kind of get used to it, right? But I think it is helpful in that none of my family is allowed to read my books.
I know, I read that your mom's not allowed to read. I think that would do me in if my parents were.
I think if I knew they were reading it, I'd be like, you know what? I am just cutting all of these spicy scenes out. I'm done. But it's nice because I sit in front of my computer, right? And I write these scenes and I'm kind of by myself, and it's easier for me to do it that way. And also just knowing how much my readers love it, I think gives me the courage to do it.
Well, and it's also empowering for women because I think the fact that we both are sitting here as grown women saying, ooh, and it's good to be able to do that and kind of express that. Now, romance fiction has long been dominated by women, both authors and readers, but isn't taken seriously because of the focus on, as I was saying, female desire and pleasure. So why do you think women's sexuality is still so taboo? Is it us doing it to ourselves?
Yeah, I think it's a mix, right? I think it always comes down to the patriarchy and misogyny, as most of these things do. There's sometimes a little bit of internalized misogyny. And it's crazy to me that things with women's sexuality or that focus on women's pleasure are often so stigmatized when so much of society caters to things that focus on men's sexuality and men's pleasure, right? And so for me, I think it's really important that we embrace these things where women do take power of their own pleasure and their own body, like romance novels and other things. And we just have to kind of keep on going with it.
So is it safe to call these self-help books as well?
I think it definitely helps themselves. Yes.
Well, you reached international fame with your Steamy Twisted series in 2021, and it was mostly thanks to BookTok. Now, this is a subculture of TikTokers who discuss the latest literature. How have you been able to engage with BookTok and the community, and where do you draw the line to protect kind of your creative process?
Yeah, so I was actually on BookTok really early. I think I was there in late 2020, which was when I started my account. And before then, romance BookTok wasn't even really a thing. It was mostly fantasy. And I've always been very engaged with my readers. I love seeing seeing kind of what they're loving in books, what are the trends, what their feedback is. And I think I probably did that a little bit more in my early days when I was starting out. But now, as I get a little bit more confident in my writing and, as your profile grows and your audience grows, there's a lot more noise. And I think that can sometimes be a little bit detrimental to the creative process. And so while I do still listen to their feedback, now I kind of have to think of it in a way that these stories are still my own. So I have to write the story that is best for me and that I feel is right. And I actually don't go on social media before I write every day. I have to kind of clear that headspace. Otherwise, I just won't be able to do it.
Otherwise, it's noise.
Yes.
A lot of it. Now, last year, you were the 4th most popular BookTok author of the year. And in fact, you were the only Asian author and writer of color in the top 10. Now, this month, we are celebrating Asian American, Native, Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. And those who made a point to represent their community across mediums. Do you feel any extra responsibility or pressure as an Asian American author in the fiction space?
Yeah. I mean, I think just the fact that I am in this space and that I am succeeding, I think is kind of a great precedent. I am by far not the first Asian romance author to have ever been in this space, but I think the more we have these voices being amplified and heard, the better. And for me, I also try to make my books as diverse as possible because they have to reflect the world we live in. And we do live.
I was going to say, because that's the world we live in.
That's the world we live in, and we live in a very diverse world. But for me, when I write these characters, I want them to live very full lives. So their identity is not the focus of the story. Right. You know what I mean? Because I don't think that's the most interesting thing about them. I think they can have full lives and fall in love just like anyone else without being focused on their Asian identity. And so that's what I'm very focused on.
Now, congratulations is due because as earlier this year, it was announced that your Twisted book series is being turned into a Netflix show.
Thank you.
I know you can't tell us much because these secrets are kept pretty tight, but do you have a dream list of actors when it comes to casting?
Oh man, I get asked this question quite often from readers, and I am the worst actually at dream casting. I will say, I am not opposed to actually having fresh faces for this TV show. Kind of, for me, it's more about who embodies the vibes and the, kind of the energy of these characters more than what they look like or what their names are. So it's hard to say until I see, the tapes, but I'm open to suggestions.
Well, I appreciate the kind of unknown faces because when you think of people that have been made through a series, if the series holds the strength, the face almost will come.
Yeah, exactly.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
That's really exciting.
I appreciate it.
A big thank you to Anna Huang. Her latest novel, King of Envy, is out now, and you can scan the QR code on the screen to buy it. Have a great day, everyone.